Today's show is all about periods, and in this next segment, we're diving into frequently asked questions like, what does a normal menstrual cycle look like? How long should my period last? What color should it be? Health coach and author of Fix Your Period, Nicole Jardim, is here to answer all of those and more. Nicole, let's start with what a normal menstrual cycle should be.
So happy to be here, Tracy. And I feel like most of us are completely in the dark about our period. So for the basics, your period should ideally be about 3 to 7 days long, which is usually a sign that there has been adequate estrogen to build your uterine lining enough so that your period isn't too short, and adequate progesterone to prevent it from getting too thick and making your period too long. And the entire menstrual cycle should fall within the range of 25 to 35 days, which in my experience is ideal for optimal hormonal health and fertility. I've found that consistently shorter or longer cycles tend to indicate a problem with ovulation. And then with regard to blood loss, this is a big question I get. And as you can imagine, it's hard to measure, but we're talking about menstrual cups, so that's helpful. Normal blood loss, though, should fall somewhere within the range of 30 to 80 milliliters. Over 80 milliliters is considered a heavy period, whereas less than 25 milliliters would be signifying too light periods. In practical terms, though, a regular pad or tampon will hold roughly 5 milliliters of blood. So if you're soaking more than 16 pads or tampons in an entire period, it could mean you have a heavy period. Or if it's less than 5 pads or tampons, it could indicate possibly a too light period.
And when you said 80 milliliters at I guess the high end of the blood loss, that's over the entire period, right? That's not one day.
That's correct.
That's over the entire period. Okay, very good to know.
Right.
It is really helpful when you compare it to tampons and pads, so we know exactly how much we should or should not be using over that period of time. So how about blood clots? Are those normal during a menstrual cycle?
It depends on their size. Blood clots definitely happen, and they're certainly a part of having a period, but I've found that if they're consistently bigger than 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters, or your period blood is clotted, it looks clumpy, kind of like blueberry or raspberry jam, again, the food references, but it's helpful, or maybe it's pasty like mud, it could be indicative of estrogen dominance, meaning that estrogen has become dominant in relation to its sister hormone, progesterone. And on the other hand, what I found is period blood that is thinned out, or it's too little, it's really light in color, kind of pink rather than red. It looks kind of like watermelon juice. It could mean there is an estrogen deficiency.
Now, you say PMS, period pain, mood swings, all of those things are not considered normal, which is interesting to me.
Isn't it, though? I know. I feel like this is a shocker for those of us who've always gotten the message that period pain and PMS are just something we have to deal with. Yeah. But these symptoms, for me personally, I believe they're statistically normal, but they're not biologically normal. And in addition to the raging mood swings and, severe bloating, the spotting before your period for more than 1 to 2 days, and extreme exhaustion, I found that these are usually indicative of something deeper happening if you're experiencing those. So I think the other thing is that if there are emotional symptoms that are so debilitating, then it could be a condition known as premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD. And if your period pain disrupts your life, or you need more than 1 dose of ibuprofen, that could be indicative of something else going on, possibly a condition like endometriosis, or maybe you're just inflamed and you need to make changes to your diet and lifestyle to get that inflammation under control.
Okay, this is a big one, period flu. Is this a thing?
Yes. The menstrual cycle is definitely tied to the immune system, which is so fascinating. And many of us experience flu-like symptoms in the lead up to our periods because our immune system isn't as robust in the second half of our cycle. And so it's been hypothesized that around ovulation time and into the second half of the cycle, the immune system function becomes suppressed so that the body doesn't reject sperm. And then if you were to become pregnant, then your body won't reject your embryo. It's kind of helpful. And, we just aren't as resilient as we are in the first half of our cycle. So we're susceptible to these kinds of symptoms because of this. So oftentimes what we'll find is we experience things like body aches and joint pain, and we feel really tired or wiped out or feverish, and we have headaches, which actually are all flu-like symptoms. So that's really where it comes from.
So interesting. Thanks, Nicole. Great information.